From an agenda perspective, I will give a quick main stage preview. I'm not going to give away all of Sanjay's gems that he's going to share with you on the main stage. I will touch on a few things because it is really key and pertinent to the idea of what we're trying to do with Hedvig and Commvault together. You've probably already seen over the last 2 or 3 months or so a different brand, a refresh in our coloration, and maybe some of the words and the way we approach the market. I think you're going to continue to see a lot of that throughout Commvault GO as we have launched into a new brand, which brings about a different tone of voice, a different way that we try to reach to our customers. And we believe that some of the things that we're doing here from a technology and innovation perspective tie directly back into that brand. And you'll also see some of the new taglines that tie in with this show being more than ready. And basically, Commvault, be ready, ensuring that we're making our customers ready for whatever comes their way. And we'll have a whole lot of fun with that throughout Commvault GO itself, and also just how we communicate about how our technologies fit. So after I cover off on the Hedvig and Commvault together and how we kind of usher in this idea and how we can all be ready together, we'll then do a quick dive into Activate. Now, I know Patrick will do a really in-depth demonstration and talk deep into the tech, but I'll let Ranga give you a quick high-level overview of what this solution is about, some of the things that it can achieve and the value that it means back to customers as we expand our portfolio. And then I'll bring Rob Kalustian on stage, and he'll give you a really good high-level conversation on Commvault Metallic, our first SaaS solution that we're providing to our customers. Sound good?
Yep.
All right, so Go. A couple quick things just to kind of highlight. We have over 1,800 attendees. I believe the registrations were even higher than that. I think we're cracking 2,000 registrations or somewhere around that. But we know we're going to have at least 1,800 plus attendees. And it's across 48 different countries. So a lot of folks coming from around the globe. It means that this is truly a global event. We love that. We love having a chance to talk with people from countries all over the globe and really ensuring that we're also able to kind of share our thoughts and also take in thoughts from our customers and partners that are across the globe as well as we start thinking about what these new challenges, problems, and goals are that we're going to try to help solve together. As Miranda mentioned, there were a number of messages that popped out or that are coming out, during this week. Some of the key ones outside of the 2020 vision, which Sanjay will talk about within the main stage, we did, like we say, launch Metallic. So that is a SaaS backend recovery solution. I'll let Rob and team give the full details. I even believe David No is going to give you a really awesome demo. It's super slick. When you see this, you're going to be blown away how slick and great it is on how we've launched that backend recovery as a service solution to our customers. We're also going to cover a little bit of the Hedvig roadmap. So obviously, we're trying to link these two technologies together. But Hedvig, as its own solution, has its own roadmap to also meet some of the needs that they've done from the software-defined storage side. So there's some updates they've done within their own portfolio to further enhance and make that solution fit for the customers. Customer momentum, you're going to hear from NASA. We've got a lot of fresh technology momentum. Activate, sort of a relaunch of what Commvault Activate means for our customers and how they can understand their information across their entire enterprise. And a really interesting thing from a Commvault corporate perspective, we've joined what is being called the Global Avengers, which basically is a set of global giants or global technology companies that are trying to play a critical role in helping businesses be more sustainable in their development of at sustainable business and how IT plays a role, et cetera. So we're really excited to be a part of this. It's something our CMO also is, really solid and strong. And if you remember, he did the trek to the South Pole a few years ago. So it's one of those causes that he firmly believes in. It's a cause our company firmly believes in. And I think as we kind of look at what's going on around the globe, it's a really important point and a great coalition for us to be a part of, and also ties back into what we're trying to do from a brand perspective as well. So that's just a kind of a rundown of some of the news. Now, one of the big key things that we're going to be talking through is the innovation and leadership that we continue to deliver for our customers. There's one thing for us to say it, and we'll give a number of different details, whether it's on the number of active patents that we currently have available within the product, whether it's the number of customers that we support, the amount of data that's being managed inside the cloud. You're going to hear a number of these stats throughout the week of the success Commvault's had in driving leadership within the IT sector, but also in being very innovative as well. However, it's not just us. Obviously, this just came out, I think, this morning, which is the new Gartner Magic Quadrant. And there's been a little scuttlebutt from different vendors around this. I'm sure you've all been keyed into the news. But we're incredibly happy to be in the spot that we're placed in, right? Furthest in highest in execution and furthest in vision in the Leaders Quadrant. I think it's our 8th time in a row now being in that Leaders Quadrant. And as everyone knows, right, going through these processes, kind of highlighting exactly what your solutions can deliver, ensuring that the knowledge is understood and proving out that it's not just, saying that tech is there, but showing that customers are actually using it. That's what it really takes to kind of achieve this level of execution and show that the vision is being consumed. So that just came out. Of course, it's not just the quadrant. I'll let you take a quick picture. Got it? All right. But also about 3 weeks or maybe 4 weeks ago now, Forrester launched their Forrester Wave for data resiliency solutions. And in this case, you'll see that we were the top ranked offering. And we had a number of high scores. One that we're really proud of in security. One of the things we do around data security, especially in today's world around ransomware, malware, the constant sort of monetization of bringing down systems or stealing data. We have a very high score from that perspective, as well as scalability and helping customers kind of align with their corporate strategy. So on both of these fronts, it's not just Commvault saying, hey, we're innovative and leaders, but also a lot of the industry analysts are seeing similar things from our technology wares and our customer success points.
Don, can I ask a quick?
Absolutely.
Why do you think the two charts are so different?
Why do I think the two charts are so different?
Well, there's real differences between certain vendors in those two charts.
There certainly are. Well, I mean, the two analysts, they don't look at the same criteria. So criteria is definitely different. And that's both from an execution perspective of how many customers do you have, what's the revenue dollars. There's a lot of criteria you have to fill that are different in both sides. Gartner's is more focused on the enterprise backup and recovery, where this is more on data resiliency. So there are two different angles and whatnot. While you could say they're similar, I think we all understand that there are differences in those technologies and what you're trying to achieve. And that's probably where I'd point to most of the differences. If you read through the report, you'll see in many cases some of the findings are very similar. And you'll also find that it's just different ways that they're trying to angle and look at how the industry itself is heading. Hope that helps.
So Don, could you talk a little bit about the security aspect here? I'm not sure we're going to have that sort of discussion later, but...
Sure. Yeah, so from a security perspective, first and foremost, we can handle a number of different security ciphers inside of our product, right? So you can have the choice of how and at what level of encryption that you leverage, either data in flight, data at rest. You can choose, there's a number of ways that you can choose to have this selected within the product, and we support all of those. Where things get really interesting then is when you start talking about tying into third-party key management vendors. It also becomes interesting when you start looking at ways that you can also align security controls for different tenants, making it so that there actually has to be an approval process, almost like you've got two people at the command center with two keys that have to turn at the same time in order to delete data. Things such as that, so that organizations can map the way data is being managed, controlled, and mapped back into their back-end storage, and ensuring that it's living for compliance, and not just allowing one rogue employee to strip out all the information or strip out the actual cloud keys so that you can no longer access the data, et cetera. So those are just a smattering of examples. We probably spent, with Forrester on this one topic, we probably spent about 35 minutes going through the breadth of offerings that we provide on the security side of our product, just to highlight what that means for anyone from the large enterprise to someone, SMB to medium-sized businesses that just wants to ensure they have a really solid, secure, ransomware-protected backup environment. And it spans, expands the entire gamut.
Hey, thanks.
No problem. Any other questions? Cool. So, one of the things that you'll see, you probably heard from Commvault, protect, manage, and use. Well, with the acquisition of Hedvig, there's also a bit of controlling and understanding the way the storage is going to scale, the way that the storage from a secondary perspective is going to scale, how we actually manage the movement of data to the cloud. And so what you're going to hear from our main stage, specifically from Sanjay, is how Commvault is helping our customers today and going forward protect, control, manage, and most importantly, use their data. That's the direction we're taking things, and as we view this, especially with the Hedvig acquisition, that the big key here is about unifying storage and data management together as a whole. Stop forcing customers to have multiple silos, simplify how secondary storage, backup, data management can come together to simplify the way that you can drive application routines, protection of the data, long-term compliance, all the way out to the cloud, make it as simple and streamlined as possible. So that's the vision we're looking at. Now, when you're going to hear Sanjay talk, he'll mention something about kind of a brain. When you think of IT, you think of data. In order to truly be successful, you need to kind of link these things from storage and data management together. And he likes to think of it in his mind, and you'll hear him probably say a couple of jokes around this front, so I'm not going to give everything away. But he'll talk about it as you almost need an IT or a data brain that controls this, that truly allows you to link together what's happening on the storage layer together with the way that you're protecting and driving data management. So as you look at this, oops, I went backwards.
Don.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned data management, and nowadays there's a lot of talk about data management and stuff, right? Is the Commvault data management framework going to be something that the security guys are going to look at, or are you guys looking at some kind of acquisition? Because the security guys are really, putting things together, things like Acronis, for example, or like yesterday, right? Thomas Bravo just bought Sophos. All right, so there's going to be a lot of like munging around. Are you guys looking at something that?
Well, so I think the first thing you keyed on is the term data management still isn't very well defined across the industry. Be it right or not, in our marketplace, when you're more than backup and you start talking about, yes, we touch in areas of security, we touch in areas of access, we touch in areas of maintaining policies and records control and archives. So it does play a little bit in data management. It's not truly master data management. It's one of those weird terms that doesn't really have a definition. And as you look at it, of course, when you go to different parts of the globe, data management means different things to different people. Just like the term data protection means something different as you go to different countries, different locales. So data management's kind of become a bit of a broad term that talks more than backup. At least from our perspective, it's more than backup. It's the access, the security, the control, the serving up, the usage, some of the long-term archival. It does tie into some of the things that go beyond just what you would think of from a backup and archive, et cetera, perspective. Does it mean that Commvault's going to go further in that direction? You'll have to stay tuned and see how things continue to progress. But absolutely, you see that the market continues to consolidate and shrink, and it's interesting as you start to see the swim lanes from where partners and competitors and whatnot, and how these different spaces are starting to really converge. And I think it really plays up to the conversation track that, look, IT organizations today need a more consolidated and simplified solution for IT, because where they run their business is exploding out in every direction.
Definitely.
So if you can't start to tie all these things back together from an IT perspective into a more central sort of management point, it's going to end up being the IT team's challenge to try to get their arms wrapped around it. And that's the big skills gap that we're seeing, right?
So, Don, as you guys are vying for CIO's attention, and Commvault is leaving this traditional archive backup realm and going into data management, you hear terms like data management that will pique a CIO's, CDO's interest. Like, what's the outcomes you guys are talking to these high-level executives about that gets you the meeting or the next meeting?
Yeah, for sure. In many cases, it can be data sovereignty, ensuring that you've got data stored in the right location, not crossing country boundaries, to ensure that information isn't being opened up to some sort of clawback act or whatnot from a data perspective. Any governance or compliance routine internally, where they're trying to ensure that, all right, when you say governance and compliance, you think, all right, it's lawsuits, but it's actually more than that. It's ensuring that the business applications that truly drive the business, that they have to hold to a certain level of SLA, that as they're starting to create these new, say, container-based applications, as they're starting to move things in the cloud, that we're not letting the rigor slide away from those new areas, and that once they're truly becoming material to the business, that they're being protected, managed, falling under the same level of policy and control that you've been doing with traditional IT. And another area that tends to also kind of pique their interest around data management is the automation component for their own DevOps team. I think we can all agree that as DevOps becomes more and more prominent in business, it's also how many businesses and organizations sharpen their own competitive edge for how they're going after different markets or remaining the word slipping, I guess pertinent in their certain business spaces, not getting disrupted. What's that?
Competitive.
Competitive, yes, yes.
One question, though. Kevin Jackson, the network, many, if not most organizations, manage their information based upon application, not based upon data. And in order to actually leverage this data management, you need to go back to the basics where you classify your data so that you can set appropriate policies. How would you recommend organizations actually attack that transformation? Because without it, it's very difficult to see how many of these excellent products and capabilities can be effective.
Couldn't agree with you more, which is why Ranga and then Patrick are going to show you what Commvault Activate does on the understanding of your data landscape, the classification, sensitive information, et cetera. We'll walk you through exactly what that whole entire product line is all about. Okay, so we'll double click and triple click into that for you and show you how it works.
So you just lost cool points by using double click, and then you added a new one, triple click, which.
What if I move the mouse wheel? I mean,
So I hate to be just hammering you here. I don't think you're ever going to get past this slide.
okay.
But I want to jump back to the security aspect a little bit. And
Sure.
your wife said that we could hammer you with questions, so blame her.
Yes.
I would argue that, data management goes into probably why Commvault is such a great security tool. And I'm a security person, so I think that everything can be claimed as a security tool.
Yeah.
A little bit more of the technical aspect. What hash is Commvault using? And also, do you know what the default dedupe block size Commvault's using?
Yeah.
Sorry, those are really technical questions.
No, that's all right. So the default out of so first off, let's go to the dedupe. That's an easy one to answer.
Yeah.
The default out of the box, if you don't change any settings, is 128K.
Okay.
You can spin that down to go as low as you want. I believe it will support down to a 4KB level, although in most cases you don't see much reduction or space savings in spinning it all the way down. Where you will see some performance impact because the extra hashes and blocks you have to pull back from the backup subsystem. And it can also scale up to multiple gigs in size. And there's different workloads that will all want to use different hash sizes, which is where the application awareness, understanding what your data set is, to maximize read-write performance, storage efficiency, and fit exactly what the customer wants to do. In all honesty, 128K to 256K block sizes are usually more than good enough for getting the maximum compression while also keeping proper performance from a mass restore need.
Okay.
So from that perspective, that's how that works. On the hashes that we use, I'm assuming like the encryption algorithm types.
Yeah.
So the most prominent one is AES 256, and there's two or three different flavors to that. I don't remember them all off the top of my head, and it goes from that all the way down to, I think, I'm going to sound like a Dr. Seuss book, but I think 2Fish. And there's a whole bunch of other ones underneath that are not quite as secure, but it can go all the way down to even, I think, triple des, and there's a 56K that's not that secure anymore. But
Okay.
it covers a wide gamut. For the most part, customers will choose them if they're going to do it because it's software encryption. You're going to leverage the processing cycles. You might as well go with the more secure.
I guess another aspect of that question was the hash you use for the dedupe.
Is hash used for dedupe?
Yeah, what hash do you use for the dedupe?
And so yeah, we do our. I don't know the exact name of the hash, but we do the hashing ourselves in our software.
Oh, so it's
All of our dedupe is software based. Remember, so
I understand, but
Yeah.
you don't use a standard encryption hash for that. You use your own.
okay. So we can do encryption and deduplication together,
Understand?
and based upon the cipher that you want to use is how it will attach the actual security and hash that data. It will happen after we've done the deduplication hash. There are two different calls we're going to make to it. I don't remember the names of the algorithms. We can probably get that information if it's necessary.
It's okay. Is that what you asked, Corey?
That would have been the triple click.
That would have been
Yeah.
the triple click.
That would have been a triple.
Okay. Fail on my
You
part.
just lost the point, Keith.
Yeah, he answered like 3 questions at once. So they're doing symmetric key encryption, though.
Okay. Is that the name of it? You're a better security person than I am.
No, I mean, so you guys are using an AES hash, so you
Yeah.
guys are doing symmetric key encryption for the data.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next slide because someone said there's no way I'm getting past that slide. The other side of the brain, which is probably a little bit more scientific, by the way, and this is where we talk about unifying data and storage management together. That's where you start taking what infrastructure does this run on? What location? How do I make sure I'm provisioning the right storage, the right resources to the right team? Can I make it so they don't even have to call IT anymore? Give them the APIs to make the calls, right? Maybe even unify the APIs of storage together with the data management side so that there is no more setting backup policies. You're just actually sending an API command call, and the storage gets provisioned, the data gets managed on the fly.
Is this secondary storage management or is this primary storage
That's what I
management?
wanted to ask as well. Yeah.
So this could be a mix of both. Because what this looks at is what the Hedvig technology brings to Commvault, and how we want to. This is the lead-in to how we want to unify that storage management and the technologies we've acquired together with what we're doing on data management to provide that one central command, that one central data brain, that essentially gives exactly what we're talking about here, right?
Some people would think that having your backup and your primary storage on the same media would be risky.
But does it have to be on the same media?
No, it doesn't, but I just.
So I guess the question now becomes, before we had this nice clean laws of storage where backup vendors were backup vendors, primary storage vendors were primary storage vendors. File systems were separate. There was this air gap between the two systems. Now you guys are talking about eliminating the air gap because now I have one storage management system for both my primary and secondary data. Does that introduce risk?
Yeah, so when you can start to abstract location, you can abstract the technology and still provide that ubiquitous control, then you should also still be able to provide that level of air gap, whether that's to the cloud or off the tape. You guys, we all know Commvault can support and do those sort of things. To the concern on do I want the same system that's running primary storage running my backup storage? Well, to a certain degree, people are already doing that today. An EMC Isilon NAS will still be running production file services, and there's lots of customers out there that will use an EMC Isilon NAS to run backup locations, whether it's a backup of a database, whether it's running.
But typically those customers are not running both primary and secondary in the same Isilon cluster.
If they have a good security person.
You'd be surprised.
HP SimpliVity, for example.
Yeah.
Many people very happy.
Yeah.
Many happy.
A NetApp storage array, when you do snapshot, SnapVault, and SnapMirror, it's all within the clusters of their storage setup. And this isn't something that's really necessarily new because it's been driving in that direction. I guess the main point is if you can have a distributed platform of storage that has guaranteed resiliency, that then also has the ability, we're not moving away from the idea that you don't want 2 copies of data, right? And we still go back to those default rules of what data backup and data management means, disaster recovery, right? You need on different medium in a different location so that if something happens, if the electric company turns off your power and you can't access the data that's in that data center, do you have another place that you can turn to where it's active? So that idea doesn't go away, but we are starting to wonder, does the delineation between a production, a secondary, a tertiary, a fourth tier, is that becoming a bit obsolete with the technologies of cloud and distributed platforms and the ability to start having data available in multiple locations at any given time? And those are some of the things that we're starting to kick around with this idea of providing that data brain to meet all of these different data storage needs that a customer might have. Secondary or backup storage consolidation, providing that software-defined storage layer, being able to do backup recovery all the way to data discovery and classification. These are the key things we're delivering based upon the direction of our product portfolio going further and unifying that storage and data management. And Keith, Kevin, you had mentioned the applications. You have to be application aware. You also have to be infrastructure aware. Most companies don't manage it based upon data type. They manage it based on application.
Right. That's the
100%
problem.
agree that the infrastructure is being built for the applications, but somewhere in between, you have to have the intelligence and smarts to know what the app is, what's important within that app, where it is in its infrastructure, how you want to apply it to the necessary recovery policy, what orchestration routines you want to run, and you need the right platform and the right software in the middle to allow this whole thing to happen.
While I understand what you're trying to accomplish here with a single control plane, you're also asking customers, trust us to run everything. What if your data brain breaks?
You mean, the
impossible happens.
Right? No. Well, so in that same sort of sense, right? From a Commvault perspective, let's take Commvault platform itself and separate just that piece. From a Commvault perspective, that solution is highly available today. And it doesn't take much to ensure that it's highly available and running.
Not even highly available. You release a code upgrade, and I mean, we've all seen it, an upgrade. Oh, hey, there's a bad piece of code, suddenly everything's gone. Okay, as a customer who's running data brain, suddenly I've lost my primary, I've lost my secondary, my tertiary, et cetera, and I can't control my cloud data. What good am I? Why would I put all my eggs in your basket?
That's a great question. And I guess that's one thing that we'll have to continue proving out to our customers. And it also goes back to the conversation I have in that we don't expect ourselves to have everything in one basket. So from our perspective, we work with partners like NetApp and HPE and HDS, and we support their infrastructures as well. What we're trying to showcase in the direction that we're taking these products in our vision is that by unifying these, there's going to be a level of simplicity and control that you haven't experienced before through some of the silos. Now, there may be areas where doing this entire thing isn't necessarily a fit for a customer, and that's why partnerships are so important. There may be large parts of areas where Commvault will be perfect being utilized as a smart backup recovery vendor, classifying the data, doing the DR orchestration to make sure that that customer can have it available across multiple data centers. We get it. We're not trying to take over the world. We're just trying to show that there's a better way that this information can be managed from your applications to your infrastructures that maybe doesn't involve creating multiple silos, so that you can be smart about how you're delivering resources, collecting the data, and in turn being able to turn it back around and use it.
Now, the biggest challenge for me will be, because you have your primary storage and secondary storage and the applications on top, and it's not only for you, but also for your other competitors. The challenges is that you need to know not only your versions and upgrades and quality control of your code, but also the upgrades of those vendors. Because you have VMware, you have
the ecosystem control.
You have Dell changing their code, changing their hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest challenge is not only your data brain, but also the intelligence of that data brain, talking with the hardware and the software. I think it's not only you, but also your competitors today. They have a lot of challenges on that.
And I'd say look at it on the flip side and look at what the customer has to deal with. Because ultimately, they're the ones usually that have to figure out, well, shoot, did that firmware break this, which is causing these other point solutions not to work, and now all these API things I put together for my DevOps team isn't working. I mean, look, it's going to be a concern no matter where you run. We are just firmly under the belief that the more you can consolidate, but have the right technology that can be highly available, the better off you're going to be from a simplicity perspective, the better off you're going to be from an agility aspect as well. It doesn't mean that we won't work with partners. It doesn't mean that this is going to be what your data center looks like. This is just a vision of where we're going to take our technologies to deliver smarter, faster, more agile data services for our customers.
So Don, is it actually saying that you are going after primary storage use cases?
So in this case, our primary focus where we would use the software-defined storage, number one is going to be behind our data platform, right? The second place will be leveraging some of the Hedvig use cases, which things like containerization. They have a fantastic solution for providing persistent volumes for things like Kubernetes. Yeah, we're absolutely going to continue having that conversation with customers that are interested. They also have an ability to present, as I'm sure you guys all saw, I think in the Hedvig offices. I've watched those videos a number of times. It's amazing what you can learn from Tech Field Day, by the way. But they also have a number of offerings for virtual environments. And they have a number of customers that have had very successful deployments there. So while they support that, if customers want to continue going that route, we're not going to tell them no. We will continue to offer that as a use case that's available within the software. Our core focus, though, is offering this vision with the Hedvig technology to our current Commvault customer base and helping them tackle some of the challenges that they're facing today.
Okay. The reason I was asking that question is to understand how it plays out with their existing partners who may also be competing for customers who are looking to use containers, platforms, and
there is going to be technology overlap, and ultimately it comes back to the customer choice.
Okay, but how do you square that with partners where you're already working with partners to deliver that to a certain degree today, and now you're going to say to them, well, we're not going to deliver it with you anymore. We're now going to deliver it ourselves.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we're not going to say that we're not going. I wouldn't say that we're not going to deliver something with a partner. It's another option that a customer can look at. If they choose they want a software-defined platform, that's from the same vendor that's offering them the backup. And if we can show differentiation and value of how we've merged these two together, then it will probably be a viable option for the customer. And hopefully our partners will see some of that. And I mean, look, there's a number of ways that even Hedvig itself can partner with a number of the different vendors that are out there today. If we don't show the value, then the customer will go towards the partner, and hopefully we can still offer a valuable enough solution for how we can manage the back end of that data and protect it on the back end.
Okay.
It's not going to be look, this will be a swim lane conversation with every partner. We know this.
Yeah.
And it comes down to how we have our relationships with those partners. And it comes down to how we map out how we want to work and go to market together.
And I think that's to a certain degree what I was trying to understand, because if I was a customer and now you're coming to me and you're saying, yeah, we had all those partners previously, now I've got this, and now we can do it in a different way, and you can choose, and how are you going to help the customer work out what's the best direction to go without actually being in a position where you're going to want to push your own technology, obviously. So, as a customer, that's going to be a tricky one to try and
right, because even I'm coming here, right, I'm just trying to find out some clarity of where Commvault wants to be. All right, so when you're actually talking to a customer or talking to a partner or talking to some kind of folks, right, I think everybody wants that kind of clarity of where it is, right? Given the choice, sometimes it's kind of hard for customers to decide what exactly you are, right, as Commvault.
Sure. I mean, so where we want to be, number one, we want to continue driving our leadership as the number one back recovery vendor on the planet. Mm-hmm. All right, so whether that's from an analyst or from our customers stating that, we're not going to stop that. That's the core of our business. It's where we've gotten to today. However, we also understand the market is changing, right? The marketplace around us is changing. Companies, it's getting smaller and tighter. The swim lanes are getting harder and harder to identify. And we want to remain relevant. Relevance, that was the word I was looking for earlier. We want to make sure we remain relevant as this market change occurs. And we also see a way that we can be really innovative with the technology we built in the data management side, that if we bring some of that storage management layer into it, we really believe we can bring some very, very innovative and forward-thinking solutions to customers.
So let me try and understand. So is it Commvault's vision to continue to use Hedvig as software-defined storage, primary storage, and have your current secondary storage capabilities as separate offerings kind of thing?
I'm glad you asked, because that brings in what's the roadmap for what we're talking about with Hedvig.
Yeah.
You guys know Hedvig, so I'm not going to go through these slides. I know we're kind of running long on time already. If you want to take a screen capture, you can go ahead and do it. It kind of explains what it is, right? Commodity software. You have now this great elastic scalable platform. These are the challenges they help solve. So they are multi-protocol. I'm sure you've learned all of this before, but they're multi-protocol. They have the ability to tie in, again, with third-party encryption, key management software components. They can also work across multiple clouds and across multiple sites and drive a truly high-T infrastructure. They can deliver on what is declarative data sovereignty, so we can make it easy for customers to understand where their data lives, within what boundaries, within what data center, for what volumes, for what's been provisioned. And of course, it gives them the location transparency and IT agility they want. So that software-defined storage can do that across virtual containers, backup locations, across any infrastructure, including into the cloud. And it's done through one platform. That's the high-level, quick, 30-second, bang, bang, bang. Here's what Hedvig does from a software-defined storage perspective. When you talk about what it means together with Commvault, right? Unbeatable scale on both sides, both the storage layer, the data management side. A complete and cost-effective solution for data management as well as what's happening in the software-defined plane. It's rich support for operations because the API capabilities and the ability to tie in with the Devops teams for doing any type of infrastructure or data management, as well as a complete hybrid multi-cloud API structure between the two. So this delivers a better together solution on converged storage and data management and having that distributed platform. And where that then ties into is, let's talk where the roadmap's going. What's the plan? So yes, we offer our own secondary storage platform with hyperscale today. That's not going away. That is still our strategy for delivering converged backend recovery together with a scale-out backend storage. That's why we have our appliance and our reference architecture. Where we're going to see this change as we look at our work streams for what our plans are for integration. Number one, the distributed storage platform, we're not going to stop innovating there. We have some awesome talent from the Hedvig side that's going to help us continue to improve and enhance and drive the next generation of their software-defined storage platform, and also help us to tie that into and unifying our storage and data management plays. As you know, there's even technologies that overlay between what Hedvig delivers in storage and what we do in software. Right? Well, we're both software, but what our two software technologies do. So unifying that and making that experience as simplified as possible for the customers and the highest value is always going to be a continued driving roadmap plan. And of course, you've got the Commvault data management platform. We're not going to stop innovating in the space of being, the best, most innovative, visionary backup recovery data management platform for our customers.
So, Don, going back to the slide, the analyst slides with where the competition is at, there, you look at the big and some kind of partners now, competitors in your space, Dell EMC, HPE, NetApp, they have many of the same pieces. Mm-hmm. They can have many of the same conversations. Why Commvault? Like and since this is Tech Field Day, we can focus just on the technology piece. Like I see Hedvig, Hedvig, let's be honest, wasn't exactly tearing it up in the industry before this. Mm-hmm. Why these two combinations of technology versus one of these larger organizations that have been experts in primary data forever?
Sure. So I think the first thing I would say is the way the market's going and the way customer needs are changing, it's time that our own customers have to think a little bit differently about how they're trying to solve them. So taking solutions that have been built the same way for the last 10 or 20 years may or may not be the right choice. They may not. That's up to a customer to determine what the requirements are. From our view here is, and yes, competitors like EMC, they've got solutions. They've got a portfolio of solutions that will go up, probably an Excel spreadsheet 2 or 3 pages long. And that can probably help solve a number of these different needs. The challenge, though, is going that direction with EMC just by going with one vendor, you've already created so many different silos, so many different products, so many things that you as an IT professional have to figure out how to integrate and figure if it maps into what your cloud story is, what your cloud journey looks like, and the overall company strategy. Our view, because of how Commvault's already helped to abstract out locations, map into wherever you want to run your data center from a data management perspective, and the great aspect of how the software-defined platform that Hedvig offers with very similar ideals, they mesh incredibly well together for giving a customer a truly, that location transparent aware infrastructure. So why Commvault in that scenario? Well, we're going to give you sort of the technologies that you want that can be agnostic and abstract out location, almost to a certain extent abstract out exactly what the hardware is that it's running from. And give you the awareness that you want to the application, give you the policy control that you really require, and hopefully do it from that single platform that's tightly integrated. I'll be the first to say we're not tightly integrated just yet. We just acquired the technology. As you guys all know, it takes some time to start intertwining those two different technology streams together. However, the other reason I think why Commvault is these are some of the two top development teams I've ever seen. Now, granted, I've been at Commvault for 17 years, so you can say, well, he's only ever seen Commvault. But in my dealings, I've had a chance to meet with a number of different companies. I would put us on par with some of the top dev teams in the globe. And you're going to see this come together quickly. And you're going to see it come together quickly, and I really do believe a really solid impact for what it means that a unified storage and data management strategy will give to a customer. So it's all about thinking differently, looking at it maybe from a slightly different perspective, seeing how truly integrated technologies can eliminate those storage silos, simplify some of the complexity that we're seeing, and hopefully help customers speed their direction. Now, I know I can't answer all of your questions, because some of this stuff we're still figuring out as we do some of the integration work itself. But I do look forward to having this conversation more in the future as we start to lay more concrete framework in the next few months, weeks, quarters. We'll see.
Don, if I may, before Activate.
Yes.
This is Marcus. So,
yes.
From what I'm hearing is that you are actually trying to go after those primary storage deals as well, and trying to expand there, actually being an active competitor to HPEs and Dells and these guys, while at the same time partnering up with them. Mm-hmm. So if I compare this story to HPEs, for example, which I work very closely with,
some similarities.
Similarities, there are many, and
yes.
One acronym or word that's missing quite a lot in your slides is AI and intelligence. You know, HPE and Dell EMC and these guys are touting a lot predictive analytics, AI, intelligence. What is your view on that? How high do you rank that, and what part does it play in your?
So we were the first data management vendor to bring machine learning and artificial intelligence into our software. We did that 2.5 years ago. Last year at Go, we talked pretty in depth on what that meant and how it changes the experience. So we absolutely 100% agree. In fact, to the point where customers don't have to manage schedules and how they want their operations to run themselves. We've got the machine learning that actually tracks all the different inputs. Because if you think about it, a backup recovery or data management system is an awesome telemetry system for your IT environment, right? Speeds, feeds, how well you're using different resources. We collect all that information as we're working. Yeah. So it gives us great patterns. It gives us great understanding for how we can improve things. And we've been using that and refining it for the last 2.5 years inside the product already. And it's part of what has really simplified some of our end user experiences. We haven't just stopped there either. In part of what we do with Commvault Activate, there's some similar machine learning and artificial intelligence into that. And we also can work with a number of partners that can also layer on their own level of intelligence on top of these data sets. So it's absolutely a part of the strategy. I was trying to keep this to 15 minutes and failed. 15. And so that's why I probably didn't touch on that as much as I wanted to.
So one quick clarification. So predictive analytics, you have some kind of engine like that in your.
We do. Yes,
you do.
We do.